Welcome to Soapbox Interview from SAT Media. I'm Matt Skeetsa, and today I am here with Eli Nicolosi.
That's right. Thank you, Matt, for
Eli,
having me. Appreciate it.
Appreciate having you here.
Great.
So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure.
Just a basic bio, what brought you here, and actually, since you're running for office, tell us about your district as well.
Sure, no problem. So, again, Eli Nicolosi is my name, and I am running for Illinois Senate in the 35th District. That district is the east side of Rockford area, through Boone County, through McHenry County, through all the way south through DeKalb.
Oh, okay. It's
And
a pretty
in
big.
Kane. Yeah, so it's a very big district. And, it's kind of where I grew up. It's that area there. And so I'm really excited to have the opportunity to run. I've lived in the Rockford area most of my life. I grew up in a small town, though, called Mendota, Illinois. That's where I went to high school. But for the most part, my family's always been from Rockford. And I own a business there. It's a web and graphic design company. I've got a few employees. I got an office over there. I've done it for 20 years. It kind of makes me ancient in web design terms. So, you wouldn't think so, but yeah, that's how the industry is. But I'm very blessed to have that. I've always felt that way. I have a beautiful wife named Jennifer. I have 4 kids.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, 13-year-old twin daughters. So, that's fun, but I love them very much. I have a 9-year-old son and a now 3-year-old daughter as well.
Oh, okay.
So she runs the place. She's the boss baby. So, and that's kind of part of the reason why I'm running too. Obviously, as a small business owner, I'm very involved with the community and always have been. But, I've got kids, and I figured by the time they're ready for college, it's too late. And this state needs some changes, and it's been this way for a long time. And if I didn't think I could offer some good ideas, then I wouldn't be doing this. But that's kind of been my job, and what I've done for clients for many years is think of kind of outside-the-box ideas. So, when you hear things going on in the schools, like 12-year-olds who can have abortions without parental consent, those things bother you. When you hear that, parents aren't getting any kind of decision making when in terms of how we're raising our kids. Like now, I think last week or two, I just found out that they're offering feminine hygiene products in boys' bathrooms. It would have been nice to at least get the heads up instead of hearing it from my kids. Things like that. There's been a huge overreach. I mean, obviously with the mask mandates, the state has been very much, overreaching what they should be. And it's disturbing to me as a father. So it's a big deal for me. I previously served in the Winnebago County Board. That was a great experience. I got a lot of good friends made from that and just learned a ton about local government. It really gave me a passion about local municipalities and how I can help them. There's a thing, again, when you start talking about local governments, one of the biggest hurdles that we had on the county board were unfunded mandates. So, all of a sudden, our budget would be getting put together, and the state would call and say, hey, we're going to take away $200,000 this year for no reason. They just, okay, that cuts jobs. That
Sure.
cuts everything. And a lot of those jobs are public safety jobs. So in Rockford, Illinois, not so good.
Right.
We got a big problem with public safety there, and I'm a huge advocate for backing the blue. But here's the thing, where are these mandates coming from? Why can't we get more notice? Or how about we stop them altogether and maybe the state can be more responsible for their own actions right now? And that's just not happening under everyone else's watch. So really unfunded mandates is a huge passion of mine. I'm going to really work with all the local municipalities in the area and just kind of keep good communication, let them know what's coming down the pipeline, and try to stop it too. I believe that your legislator should be your lobbyist. I think it's a waste of money to have a paid lobbyist for municipalities and things like this or citizens. It doesn't make sense. If you did your job well, they would feel like you are working for them. And I think that's lacking in Springfield right now, to be honest. So, I've definitely got my fair share of experience. I also currently am the head of the Winnebago County Republican Party.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's really fun. I'm really doing a big push now to really kind of reinvigorate the party. We've got tons of PCs, and the big thing for us too is election judges and poll watchers, because everybody, I think, in our party was pretty unhappy with what happened in the last election there. So we're
Right.
making a big push for that. So that's a little bit about me in a nutshell. I'm sure we can go in a few directions here, but
Yeah. Let's take a look at your district, though. I'm not that familiar with, is this the 35th district?
35th, yes, sir.
So when you look at the 35th district, you mentioned it goes from Rockford all the way east.
Yes.
Is it more rural? You're obviously near Rockford, it's gonna be a little more urban.
Yeah, so well, you just got the suburban east side of Rockford there, which
Okay.
happened to be my old county board district. But it's mostly a rural district. You know, growing up in Mendota, I felt right at home with a kind of a rural district, and the way they gerrymander these maps.
Right.
So there is no Democrat in this race at all. And that's why there has not been an opponent for my opponent in over a decade. He's running unopposed. So I am running against a 30-year incumbent right now.
There still is no Democrat?
And there won't be.
Okay.
The way they've gerrymandered it, they've definitely shifted over to this rural district to compensate for some of these suburban districts. So they knew what they were doing, and it's very clear and obvious what they have done. And as a matter of fact, when I first went to run, the reason why I ran is because the district started where I lived, went all the way down to Mendota, which is an hour south of where I live. And I just thought that was kind of a message from God. And my opponent, who's been there for 30 years, his name is Dave Severson. He was in the Rockford district, which is his original district. He is a Rockford guy. I just assumed that's what he wanted to go for. You know, usually these guys kind of pick and choose where they want to go.
Right.
So I had put a message out to a mutual friend of ours, and that friend did not get back to us to a couple days. Finally, he lets me know, well, Dave's actually going back into that rural 35th district. And at that point, I had a lot of support, and people were really behind me. And I thought to myself, man, if you can't get everything you want to do in 30 years done, you might want to try something else. So, and there are a few things, like I said, that, you know, there are many things actually that we agree on, but there are a lot of things we disagree on. So his biggest claim to fame was bringing a casino to Rockford, you know, things like that, or pushing the marijuana tax. I don't know if I could stand for that. So when it happened was, then Dave got redrawn into the district because the map went through a few redrawings. And the very final iteration, I found that the line was actually, I was out of it. And the border was in my backyard. Just kind of give a little bit of an insult.
Wow.
I got a lot of political pressure to not run. Dave's biggest supporter is very good friends with Governor Pritzker. He's the biggest Democratic donor in our county by a mile. And so I kind of got that pressure going on there. And, you know, I just kind of felt, you know, that this was kind of a call to do this. So I had no fear and stayed in the race. The law is very clear. As long as you lived in the district for the last 2 years, you can run. And yeah, I'm going to have to move probably, more than likely. That's unfortunate, but I'm not going to be bullied. You know, these guys in Springfield, they call themselves conservatives. They call themselves Republicans, but their voting record shows otherwise. Their actions show otherwise. And that's the kind of thing I've seen firsthand. And I really feel like they are very nervous right now because they know what I know. And we need some change in this state. There's no doubt about it, you know. And our Northern Illinois region, we've been robbed when it comes to jobs. You know, we're not getting our fair share. We're putting in a lot, tax-wise, that's for sure.
Right.
Believe me. But in terms of economic development, you know, a lot of it's getting siphoned into the city of Chicago. A lot of our tax money is getting siphoned, and we can do better. And the way to do that, in my opinion, is not to shake your fist and say rah 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 and you know, Democrats suck and things like that. That doesn't get anything in life, let alone, you know, in politics. And I think these guys typically don't own businesses to know that. But I'm a people person, and I can get along with anybody. Even if they completely disagree with me politically, I can still be your friend. I enjoy different types of people. I enjoy learning about different types of people. It's just been a passion of mine. And it really kind of helps, bridge gaps that might not be bridged otherwise. And it's great because that's really my philosophy in business, and it's also my philosophy in life. It's just learn about people, listen, and stay true to your own convictions. And I think that's how progress gets done, when people feel that they aren't so cornered or they have to. It's just the opposite of what's going on right now in national and state politics. But
Right.
I have a strong philosophy for that.
So when you look at the 35th
35th,
district, you touched on some of the economic woes and some of the people moving. So let's look at that a little bit further. Just visually, in general, did you see any changes over the last 2 years with your district? Even driving down a street that was typically busy and...
So, again, living in Rockford, and again, that's probably the farthest west of this district, but most of the folks have been to Rockford. I would say consider the nicest spot was East State Street in Perryville. That's where Class A office space was. I had a lot of real estate clients and a lot of businesses there. If you drive by it now, it looks horrible. And this is what happens when you have policies that really only favor donors and friends, while other folks are kind of pushed out of the way. No, it does not encourage capitalism. It does not encourage the free market. And so, there are some folks who get richer, and there are many folks where it kind of just treads water or even gets worse. So that area has definitely done worse. And as you kind of go more east, it's the same picture over and over again. These areas are not getting what they need, and but I'm also a big believer now of having a plan and not just sitting here and yelling. Again, that rah-rah stuff, that works well, maybe on TV, but not in real life. So one of the things, oddly enough, that we don't have is an economic development caucus. So what I mean by that is, like in Chicago, they have one, in some other communities. This is where you check your politics at the door. It's bipartisan. You meet on a regular basis, and you actually do something that's crazy. You actually become friends, and you actually work with these guys, and you really push it through. So I'm talking about other state reps, other senators. We're really making a push for the region. So if something, say, wants to be, if there's a project that's coming and it's going to, Huntley, of course, that's my district. I'm going to push it. But vice versa, if there's something coming towards the Rockford Airport, that's not my district, but I'm going to push it. We're going to support each other. So when you go to that governor's office or those businesses, it's not going to be one legislator. It's not going to be two. It's going to be 10 or 15 of us. We're going to be really rock solid with that. And part of that vision and part of that plan actually will involve not only building trades, because they've got so many ideas. It's also going to involve local municipalities, kind of going back to my county board experience. So we're going to sit there and have these regular meetings. And this is where I this is my business background, again, marketing and getting the word out there. We're going to figure out how to bring in businesses to this Northern Illinois region. And they're going to see a lot of unity, and it's going to be very attractive. And we're all going to win. And that's the bottom line. You can pick the red car, and you can pick the blue car. But if your destination isn't better community, get out of the car. And that's really what I believe. I mean, I as the chairman of the party, I have nothing but conservative values. But the reason why I do is because I want a better community for my kids. I want it for my family. I mean, I don't want my kids growing up and leaving the state like so many others. I really hope and pray that when they have their own kids, they're right here in town like we are. And I can, like I said, I go to my parents' house on a Wednesday night for dinner, no problem, holidays, no problem. It really breaks my heart to conceptualize, not being home for Christmas or Easter or any holiday like that. I'm a family guy through and through, and I just can't stomach it. So,
very good. So, when you mentioned, obviously Illinois has a ton of issues.
Yes.
From every direction. Obviously, if you look at America as a whole right now, there's a ton of issues as well. So, when you decided to run, was there a defining element that said, you know what? This put me over the edge. This is what I want to focus on.
Well, again, going back to what I was previously saying, economic development. I know as a Republican, there's only so much you can do right down there with a supermajority.
Right.
So there's only so much. So that's the biggest thing. I think that's going to help. Economic development and public safety, hand in hand, is what transforms communities. It's not rocket science. Let's stop making it more complicated than it needs to be. Of course, there's other things that I want to do on a social level too. And we have, right now, the family structure is just nothing. We really make it easy to not be married. And that kind of stuff, I always think to myself, I'm like, you just can't go down there and push that kind of stuff because you're going to get shot down by liberals. But maybe there's ways, again, when you build these relationships, they can understand where you're coming from, and it's not so scary to them. And maybe, you let people of faith and those values do certain things with no problems. Like covenant marriages, things like that. That's an interesting concept to me where it's a little harder to get divorced. Because right now in Illinois, it takes 6 months to get divorced. But if you go to the judge, your spouse could say, yeah, I've been miserable for 6 months, and you can get a divorce then and there. I mean, it's just sickening to me. So, family stuff, fatherhood, things like that. How can we help parents and things like that? But those will come in time. I know my purpose is, again, economic development, which will feed into that. So, there's some good things on the line, and, God willing, I'm a Christian, and I'm 100% pro-life. There could be an opportunity. Things are starting to change. It excites me. I hope I'm in a position to really make a change for that and really push back a lot of these abortion positive policies that are just absolutely nuts. And I will say there are so many Republicans who vote pro-life. However, that's their voting record, but their actions speak otherwise. And what I mean by that is, like my opponent, he's backing Bruce Rauner after, not before, but after Illinois became the first public taxpayer. They basically become a haven because the taxpayer paid for the abortions. It's absolutely insane. So he's on, yelling and screaming. My opponent saying people like Jeannie Ives is a puppet for Madigan. I mean, just absolute nonsense because he's promised things and things like that. I mean, little did he know that Rauner packed it in and didn't even try.
Right.
But those are the things that why are you in office? At 30 years, that's why you lose all momentum. Why are you in office? Do you have a passion? Or are you just kind of doing the motions to, amass whatever, more power, more ego? You got to stand for what's right and stick to your dukes.
So you brought up something interesting in the economic caucus, in a sense. With the history of the left side of the aisle, either having a supermajority or not being really willing to participate, do you think that would be maybe an insurmountable task?
It's not only not an insurmountable task, I've already spoken to legislators about this, and they're all on board with me. At the end of the day, a lot of legislators that are left-leaning, that are the Democrats, actually aren't as far left as you may think they are. Right now, they do vote very far left, unfortunately, and I'm very disturbed by this, but they tell me, each and every one, they're getting pressure from the very liberal side of the party, the Chicago,
the progressive
the
side.
progressives. And if they don't vote 100% progressive with them, they will get primaried. I've been told this a million times, especially on the House side, where you're only there for 2 years. So part of my plan, again, is let these guys know I got your back. You can vote moderate. It's okay. You can actually vote pro-life. It'll be okay. But that will take time. And it's not something that's going to happen overnight. But I think with good relationships and trust, that's where people start to feel comfortable and where we start to make real changes. So those are things that I really feel passionate about. And I think I can do a good job because I've had these conversations already. I know these folks. I've been in politics for so long as the chairman of the party. Every Republican is either, we're on a cell phone basis and we talk all the time, or I've done their campaigns or whatnot. And then every Democrat I know extremely well. That's just how our area works. And I'll continue that philosophy when I'm down there.
So, Eli, again, thanks for coming here today. I really appreciate you stepping in the SAT Media studio and going over you.
Hey, I really appreciate it for the opportunity. Thanks for everything you guys do. It's an absolute pleasure. And Thank you for helping the party.
Thank you, and good luck
Appreciate
at the
it.
campaign.
Hey, thank you so much.
Win.
You got it.